at gbnews.uk. And here to discuss this are Rupert Read, a professor at the University of East Anglia and former spokesperson for Extinction Rebellion, Howard Cox, founder of the Fair Fuel UK campaign. Thank you both for joining us. Let's start with you, Rupert. Is this disruption justified?
Well, Bev, whenever something like this happens, I think what's really important is that we try to understand the motivations of those who are driven to these kinds of lengths. And of course, the motivations of these protesters is very simple. They are very scared about the future. Most of them are young, and they are rightly extremely concerned that climate breakdown is going to take down their future unless we effect a massive course correction, which at present we show absolutely no sign of doing. So I think that's really where one needs to start with this. Understand why people are doing it. And then we have a chance of actually being able to take the kinds of actions as a society that mean that people were not feeling driven to this kind of fairly desperate mode of protesting.
Howard, let me come to you. Howard Cox, founder of Fair Fuel UK campaign. Your response to that? This is young people doing what they feel strongly about.
Yes, but they're ill-informed, they're incapable of debate, frankly, they're clueless, and they're selfish, they're very ignorant, and they're anarchists with egos bigger than their brains. It's ridiculous. Why don't they sit round the table and debate what they want? We all want a cleaner environment. You don't go and ruin other people's lives by blocking their access to fuel and ruining businesses and also vandalising garages. I mean, I couldn't believe this. How anyone can condone that is ridiculous. We need to sit together and work a way forward to find the best way forward to get cleaner fuel technology. And let's work together on that.
Rupert, you heard from Howard there. Protesters, they're just selfish, and what they need to do is grow up and sit around a table and have an honest, mature debate.
Well, I'm really sorry to hear Howard lowering the tone of debate there. I've met some of these young people, and I can promise you they are not ill-informed. They're very well-informed by the best contemporary climate science, for example, as am I. I am part of the IPCC process, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. And he says that they're selfish. I mean, that's just the most bizarre thing to say imaginable. They're not selfish at all. They're trying to protect a better future for all of us. In terms of being selfish, though, it would be interesting to look at the credentials of Mr. Cox, who actually has a very interesting iron in this fire. He is part of the group Fair Fuel, of course, but he's also, and he doesn't talk about this so much, the director of a company, Ultimum, which wants to sell fuel catalysts that will enable us to carry on burning petrol and oil and diesel well into the 2030s, 2040s, 2050s. So in other words, Mr. Cox will actually profit from us not stopping oil. And I think that would be quite an interesting thing for your listeners, your viewers to learn about. That if there's somebody selfish here, it's surely him, who is actually looking to profit from the destruction of the environment of all of us.
Well, there will be those people who like to drive cars who would applaud Howard Cox for allowing us to maintain that particular necessity, not necessarily a luxury. And if he's part of that movement, that means we can drive our cars, then that's good, isn't it, Howard?
Well, there you saw it in action, the ad hominem attacks, emotion, throwing these stupid accusations.
No,
yes,
I'm just
I am a director.
Mr.
Well, let me finish. I kept quiet. I am indeed a director of Ultimum Limited, and we've actually got a product. I'm not going to advertise it on here. I don't want to do that because that's not the point. But what it does is lower emissions, and you're telling me that I shouldn't be investing in something that lowers emissions, that shouldn't improve fuel efficiency and helps people. 37 million drivers in this country, and they all need to use diesel and petrol, except for a very small minority of electric vehicles, which I'm all for. But you just keen to go and attack people on this basis and ruin people's lives. That's your modus operandus.
Rupert, would you be happy for us to see the end of cars tomorrow?
Rupert, Mr. Cox, it was you who started attacking people. I was very polite, and you started attacking the good people, the good young people of Just Stop Oil. And you said very unpleasant things about them. So I merely revealed to your audience that they might be interested to know that you will personally profit from them not succeeding in their campaign aims, which they are undertaking for the good of all of us. I think that's quite a reasonable thing for me to have done.
Let me just ask you, Rupert, would you be happy for us all to stop driving our cars as of tomorrow? Because some of these eco-protesters would absolutely love to see that.
Well, with all due respect, Bev, that is a really silly exaggeration. No one is saying that every single journey is going to stop tomorrow. What the protesters are asking for, and I've got no dog in this fight, I'm not one of them, I'm not part of Just Stop Oil, but I just think it's important to understand them. What they're asking for is for the government to make some kind of meaningful commitment that it will move away from new oil projects. They're saying, why are we still drilling for oil now when we have more than enough to fry the world many times over? They're not saying stop all journeys tomorrow. What obviously there needs to be is some kind of plan to gradually reduce the amount of oil that is used until we get to a place where we actually have a stable environment, until we reach net zero. Until we reach net zero emissions, we are making this climate breakdown worse. Every single year, every single day, we are making it worse. And we're giving the most terrible poison chalice to our children and our grandchildren. It's a totally unacceptable thing to be doing. And it's totally reasonable to look to find ways by any means necessary that are non-violent to stop that desperate, appalling future from being our future.
Howard?
Well, there we go again. Fry the world. You see the emotion? That's all they've got is emotion, scaring people. And I am going to attack those people yesterday that were smashing up pumps and people getting around their day. He's condoning that. He's condoning vandalism. He thinks that's a good thing. They do this under this guise of a thing called civil discipline.
What I'm saying is that we should try to understand why they're doing it. That's what I said very, very clearly. And you've made no effort whatsoever to understand why they're doing it. And that's very disappointing.
And if you didn't, you should listen to my first bit of what I said. Let's sit round the table and work on getting cleaner fuel technology for the future. Let's debate it. Don't smash up people's lives and smash up property. Simple. You just don't know any other way to do it.
With all due respect, what Just Stop Oil are asking for is precisely to sit round a table with the government to talk about it with them. But so far, the government has made no response whatsoever.
Let's do it.
When I was part of Extinction Rebellion, excuse me, when I was part
I've got my diary here. Let's book a point. Come on.
Talk with us.
I would happily
sit down and talk with us.
If we do want to have
so at all recently, they've made no good faith declarations on this or anything. They are planning to have new oil fields in the North Sea. They're planning to dig more coal out of the ground. This is
not enough to put our
appalling way to behave.
Well,
there's a cost of living crisis. Have you noticed?
So
yes, indeed, I have noticed, and that's why we ought to go green. As everybody knows, what we ought to be doing is insulating our houses, putting up more solar panels, allowing onshore wind, which this government has banned. And if we were to do those things, we would be in so much better of a position than we are in. We could still start doing them now. Fossil fuels are yesterday's technologies. They need to be phased out for the good of us all. And the war in Ukraine has shown this very clearly. We are dependent upon fossil fuels. We are dependent upon international markets for coal and gas and oil. That's a ridiculous situation to be in. Let's have good homegrown solar energy, renewable energy, wind energy. Let's insulate our homes properly, and then we'll be able to face the future proudly, and we'll be able to tell our children that we actually did what was necessary.
OK, gentlemen, when you do decide to have that roundtable, I will happily chair it for you here in the studio, because it is a debate that needs to be conducted. There is no doubt about it. There is so much emotion, and actually we need facts as well. Right, that was Howard Cox and Rupert Read there talking about the green dilemma, which we're all living with, aren't we?